Melee Fundamentals by Nickemwit, Part 4, Learning to Learn. Do not oversimplify or overcomplicate. Occam's razor is wrong, or rather, it's translated in a misleading way. Feel free to investigate this further, but a better understanding of the formulation than the simplest explanation is usually the right one, is that you should try to use the appropriate amounts of nuance required. Sometimes things are incredibly complicated. Grasping for easy answers is a recurring problem with my Metaphi students. I often hear people say, I need to approach less, and it's never that simple. Solve puzzles in your head when playing friendlies or between tournaments. Theorycraft and try to be ahead of the curve of the meta. Abandon bad ideas. Keep an eye out for ideas similar to your own and steal them. Steal shit in general. Absolutely do not be proud and stubborn here. Keep in mind that even if other characters can do something better than yours, doing a shittier version with your character still has value. Always endeavor to enhance your toolkit, especially with movement options. Punish game is an obvious thing to practice, but being able to leverage more movement options has immense value, even if they are niche and rarely applicable. Practice things in both directions on both sides of the stage. Aspects of the game and stages are sometimes asymmetrical. Learn the rules to break the rules. Don't venture too far out of your lane here. If you're trying to write your 9th grade 5-paragraph essays in a style reminiscent of James Joyce, you're not going to pass the class. Build a solid foundation and expand on it. Once your foundation is solid, you have more latitude to experiment and style. Heuristics like space your moves at the tip are starting points, and eventually you'll learn the exceptions. Talk to people about Melee. Figure out which friends, streamers, or top players are helpful, articulate, and have ideas that resonate with you. Keep an eye out for good content creators. I haven't watched many of these Melee Moments videos because the interactions weren't necessary for me to dissect, but if it were several years earlier and I were a newer player, I feel these might be some of the best videos out there for me to watch. SSBM Tutorials was good for newcomers and probably has aged okay. As a Falcon player, shoutouts to Chef Rockman, Sechi, and The Cookbook. I haven't really watched any other things, but I can say with some confidence that Fiction and Cadoran probably have some really helpful stuff out there, and I bet Law's Guide to Improvement is probably still pretty good too. Do your best to consume content in formats that are not ideal for you. There's a ton of insight out there that has not been condensed into quick digestible videos. Some of it will never be able to be. Read The Art of Learning instead of The Inner Game of Tennis, the latter of which can adequately be summarized in a short YouTube video. Refine your lens for discerning good information from bad. The source may be irrelevant. Good information can come from literally anywhere. Bad information can sometimes be presented such that it seems totally coherent, intuitive, and sensible. That said, knowing which sources tend to deserve the benefit of the doubt and which ones require greater skepticism is valuable. Sechi is a player that I pretty much assume is right every time he says shit, even if it's presented in a way that I don't find compelling or even adequately explanatory. Conversely, I don't tend to believe things that Crimson Blur says, but you know what? Everyone dunked on Blur for alluding to the existence of camera tricks, and another player told me about camera tricks. His tag was ice. Cultivate connections with people who will help you improve. This could be practice partners, coaches, theory crafters, or even people who just see the game really differently from yourself. He's gone now, but I never understood what made the Moon good. At all. It seemed like he sucked every time I watched him play. Yet, I got utterly bodied by him whenever we did play. He was notoriously bad against Falcon, but he also dominated against Captain Smuckers. This isn't a matchup that either of us struggled in historically. I'm really not sure if I'll ever be able to understand what made that guy good in the least, but if I had been able to pick his brain while he was still around, maybe my game knowledge would have been meaningfully enriched. If someone constantly makes bad decisions against another player, and they never make them against you, this is likely indicative of you not understanding something. It took me some time to really understand and accept how SUJ is able to do insane, mistake-inducing gameplay that I will not be able to replicate. But even just knowing this allows me to play to my own strengths, rather than fruitlessly emulating someone else and being a shitty knockoff budget version of them. Plus, I can still steal a trick or two from his bag if I feel my poorer execution of it will get the job done against a particular opponent. The Gumi rating system. Here's a time when another player, Gumi, the Samus, enriched my ability to analyze and dissect the game. So I adapted this slightly, but all situations can be rated from -10 to +10. 0 is true neutral. 10 is if your opponent is dead to something as trivial as roll from ledge. And -10 is if you are dead from something as trivial as roll from ledge. Thus, how advantage or disadvantage you are can be quantified in this way. And you can try to tailor your options to the very specific situation. Don't shy away from or be reluctant to embrace information that isn't entirely quantifiable. Sometimes abstract or conceptual ideas are just as valuable as concrete ones. Sometimes understanding flows from the framework, and sometimes the framework needs adjustment. This is called assimilation versus accommodation in psychology. Sometimes empirical data is straight up irreconcilable with any worldview that seems reasonable, but that still doesn't warrant discarding the data. Keep in mind so you can accept things that literally make no sense whatsoever. If someone had told me about the Abate versus S2J ending and I hadn't have seen it, I wouldn't have thought that that was a possibility. The mechanics of the interaction later became much more widely understood. Or like momentum as well. Everyone knows momentum is real, we all talk about it, but it's still hard to understand and accept just how huge it really is. Decompress. Walks can be good. Many of us live and breathe melee, but finding some balance is necessary. Human bodies are not machines, though we can try to emulate them in quick bursts. End part 4. Click those like and subscribe buttons.